All right. Good evening, ladies. I am sorry about that. I just Zoom quit really unexpected on me just for a second. So I think we're back. Um, yeah, if you can hear me and see me, give me a thumbs up. Can everybody hear me and see me okay? Okay, awesome. Very good. We are okay. Now I think we're okay. Yeah, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm glad to be with you again. I hope you ladies have had a productive Wednesday, a good week so far. It's been raining a lot here in the Boise area. I don't know how it's been, how the weather's been behaving for you guys, but we've had a lot of water. So um, anyway, we're glad for it though. Now, while I wait for any other ladies who want to jump on, we are going to just go through my disclaimer that I need to say every time I do a, a live event like this online. And so anything that I say tonight during this Wellness Wednesday is only health information and is not specific health advice. Do not start taking or stop taking or change the way you're taking any of your medication. If you feel like you need to do that, please consult with your prescribing practitioner just so they can make the appropriate adjustments with you. And attending this Wellness Wednesday does not establish a doctor-patient relationship. So I think we're good to go. Now, tonight's topic has come up a fair bit in the group over the last, recently and then just over the last several months. And I thought I would address it tonight. I'm going to talk about gallbladder and talk about as much as how the thyroid affects gallbladder, how this all ties in with liver function and why gallbladder function is so important and why it can be the cause of so many symptoms. And I know a lot of you have dealt with, you know, if you've had your gallbladder out, you know where the pain is, you know where the gallbladder is. It's like right up here in this, right upper quadrant area, just underneath the rib cage, under where your liver is, right underneath the liver. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen with you just so you can see a little bit better. I kind of like to do visuals. So let me show you that. So I'm going to use my cursor to just kind of point out, here's this little green gallbladder. And it's got this, it's right underneath the liver, as you can see, right under the right side of your rib cage. And as you can see, the gallbladder has a little duct that connects with what we call the common bile duct. And the bile duct comes from all these smaller bile ducts in the liver that converge on this, what we call common bile duct. And then the gallbladder stores the bile and it acts like a pump, kind of like the fuel pump for any of you mechanically minded ladies out there. So a fuel pump, as you know, really pumps the gas into the engine right at the right time. Well, the gallbladder does the same thing. It pumps the bile into this common bile duct, and then it goes into the intestines, the small intestine, as you can see here, when it's time to digest food. So typically after a meal. And well, what is bile? What's in bile? And why is this so important? So bile contains what we call bile salts. And as your liver is doing one of its major jobs to detoxify your body, it's pulling toxins out of your bloodstream that comes, out of the lymphatics and so forth. From the from around your body, and it pulls these toxins. And bile is the body's mechanism of binding to and ushering out these toxins, because once the bile reaches and goes into the intestines, not only does it help digest the fats and the foods that you've eaten, it then moves everything through the intestine so that it can be, what can't be absorbed can be excreted as your waste. So it's made of also a pigment called bilirubin, and so that gives it a color, usually a yellow brown color, and so see what else do I want to say about it. It's vital that you have a working gallbladder that's going to squirt out the bile right in time to help you digest your food. And then as you digest your food properly, that's when you're going to absorb the nutrients that you're eating better. Okay, now for you ladies that don't have a gallbladder, like I said, I'm sure you remember how most of you, how it was very painful, how you may have had symptoms like pain and nausea right after or soon after eating, especially a fatty meal or a cheeseburger or a rack of ribs or something like that, right? And then you just get this excruciating pain, and then those of you who don't have your gallbladder, you've noticed maybe that your stools are really light colored, and or maybe that even happened before the gallbladder was out because it couldn't get the bile out for various reasons that I'll go into. So when you have a problem releasing bile into your intestines, well, guess what? You're not going to digest your food properly. And this is a big factor for you developing leaky gut and all the things that causes. And I encourage you to go back and listen to a Wellness Wednesday that I did on that topic. So when you don't digest your food properly, the undigested particles cause irritation and inflammation of your intestines, and that causes little leaks in the intestinal lining, and these will leak into the bloodstream and cause an immune and even autoimmune reaction. All right, so the consequence of not having a gallbladder, and I'll tell you, doctors are really quick to remove them because they're traditionally of the opinion that, your gallbladder isn't that important. You can live without it. Well, yeah, you can, but not comfortably. And it certainly can lead to a lot of other issues, including Hashimoto's. All right, because that's what it's often starts in the gut from autoimmune reactions caused by leaky gut. So, holy cow, like this is a big deal, but they're not thinking of these dominoes that keep falling, that keep falling down after removing the gallbladder. Now, I get it. Some of you have had really sick gallbladders. I understand. The symptoms, you weren't being listened to, right? You may have been bringing up these symptoms, but you weren't being listened to. Okay, I'm going to switch off this visual just, and then we'll kind of go into this a little more. So, I just wanted to show you that so that you understood where it is, and if it's real sick, and it gets, again, just a little bit of a visual, when it gets sick and real inflamed and it gets scarred and it can stick to the liver, well, that's not good either. So those of you who may have had complications with the gallbladder surgery, certainly the complications could include nicking this bile duct, and that's bad news. Anyway, just to give you, like I said, a little visual on what this looks like under the skin. So when your gallbladder isn't functioning properly, you're not digesting your food properly, and this leads to a host of other problems. So we got to talk about bile for a moment. Bile is made, like I said, it's made in the liver, stored in the gallbladder, and it's one of the primary liver functions to detox your body from all kinds of different toxins. And it's these toxins that, if they stay in your tissues, in your cells, they cause free radical damage. So free radicals, they cause inflammation and disease. All right. And mind you, we're talking about toxins that need to drain from every part of your body, including your brain. So we have your detox organ pathways, and I have spoken a little bit about this before, but the lymphatics and the glymphatics that drain the toxins from your brain into the bloodstream, into the liver, through the venous system, into the liver, so that the liver can then bring those toxins out of the blood, process them, put them into the bile, and then out. So you've got to have the right nutrients for the liver. Your liver needs to be healthy. Fatty liver will interfere with bile production, will interfere with that detoxification function that is so vital, that the gallbladder helps you out with, because it's going to, every time you eat properly, it's supposed to squirt the bile out into the intestines. So certainly if there's some issues with that, not getting out of the gallbladder, then we have some other issues. I'm going to talk about that too. So liver function, I told you in the master class that a healthy liver requires a healthy thyroid. And healthy thyroid requires healthy liver, because the liver also converts thyroid hormone from T4 to T3, that active form that gets the work done in your cells. Well, if your thyroid's not working properly, then the liver's not going to work properly either to make bile. So you need thyroid to be functioning so that you can make enough bile in the liver. And it's a catch-22. One thing that also happens is when your thyroid is low functioning, then you're also going to develop higher cholesterol. All right, so let's talk about some gallbladder issues. Gallbladder inflammation, okay, is caused by, when you have inflammation in the blood vessels, you can certainly develop inflammation of the gallbladder in any organ. There are bacterial toxins that can go around in the blood from various kinds of bacteria that can be in our bodies, in our nasal cavities, called marcons, and I've talked a little bit about this in the past. Multiple antibiotic resistant coagulase negative staph, which produces toxins that are toxic to the blood vessels, or that cause inflammation in the blood vessels, which leads to atherosclerosis, or coronary artery disease. Well, it can lead to artery disease all over the body, and this can cause inflammation all over the body, including the gallbladder. You can also have inflammation from stagnant bile. All right, so bile stagnates in the gallbladder when it can't get out, when there's more and more developing inflammation in the gallbladder wall, which is a little muscular sac, right, that acts like a pump. And when that musculature gets irritated and inflamed, then it thickens, right? It gets inflamed, it swells, and then it can't it can't contract. It's very sluggish. And a lot of you have had tests called HIDA scans, HIDA scans, to see, well, what's going on with gallbladder emptying. So if the gallbladder can't empty the bile, the bile is going to stagnate, and it's going to form stones from that. So gallstones can be a problem. If they're small enough and they can get out of the gallbladder, then that can cause pancreatitis. because it can get lodged in the little area where it comes out of the enzymes come out of the pancreas, right there by the bile duct. Then you can get cholangitis, okay, which is a big word for inflammation of the bile duct, and it can block up the liver. So you can get a backup of bile into the liver, and this is potentially fatal if it goes on long enough. And it can certainly make you very, very sick. And once it gets to this point, it is really hard to reverse. Unfortunately, I had a patient who had already had several surgeries, stents placed in the common bile duct, and to facilitate draining bile into her intestine. And I will say at that point, it had progressed so much that I have to admit I was unable to help her. So don't let it go that far. Don't go that long. This is there comes a point where, and she had to have surgery after surgery, basically, to keep this open, because if you don't have that open, the liver is going to back up and she'll die. That's what happens. So, all right, high cholesterol causes gallstones to form. So too much cholesterol, it collects in the bile. When it gets stored too much in the gallbladder, can cause gallstones. Too much bilirubin, all right, the pigment, it's a molecule. It can collect too much. Well, how do you get that? Well, when you have conditions that cause too much red blood cell destruction, so aplastic anemia is the main one that comes to mind, and there's a condition called Gallbladder, where you're breaking down too much, or excuse me, I misspoke on that. It's not Gallbladder, and I can't remember the name of it. Gallbladder is where you don't break down bilirubin enough. But there are certainly other conditions causing red blood cell breakdown, including parasitic infections. Now, when you have too much red blood cell breakdown and too much bilirubin and too much cholesterol, the other reason is not enough bile salts formed. So decreased thyroid, decreased liver function so that you don't produce enough bile salts can lead to the increased viscosity of the bile and how it's stored in the gallbladder. So it becomes thicker. The bile salts help to keep bile flowing, and that's very, very important. Okay, certainly parasites, especially Ascaris, which is a roundworm infestation of the liver and gallbladder. This is a common disease of the tropics, but it is, I have seen cases here in the United States. Of course, if you've traveled to the tropics and get sick and don't realize, well, what is going on? Why is my gallbladder why is it so painful? And you go down that road, and they don't even really evaluate you for roundworm infestation, because they just don't think it's a thing. But that is certainly one way. There are other parasites that can set up shop, and these are less studied. The studies that have been shown that threadworm can get into the tissues, into the gallbladder. These are the strongyloides that we are born with. Go back and watch the Wellness Wednesday I did on presented on parasites. That would be very helpful to give this a little more context. But these worms can also cause inflammation of the gallbladder, problems with liver producing bile salts, and all the other problems that ensue from that, caused by parasites. All right, liver flukes less commonly could be a very a rare cause All right. So one of the I wasn't necessarily planning on talking about ways to get rid of gallstones, but I'm sure a lot of you have tried to research it, and I will just say there are flushes. There's some herbs. One in particular that I would prefer rather than you doing a flush unsupervised is called Chanca Piedra, stone crusher or stone breaker. And that if you catch things early enough, if you feel like, you know, that is that, I don't know, it's even tough to even tell you when to do it because it just varies so much. There are risks. Just know that there are risks with doing this kind of treatment because you can dislodge one of these smaller stones, and that could lodge in that area where the pancreas duct empties into the intestine, and you can have a lot of issues with that. But the chances of this happening certainly are less than probably the success that you can have with getting, flushing out some of these stones. So those are some ways to flush, to get some of these these gallstones out. But I would always recommend you do a flush like this with supervision. So, all right. Increased cholesterol from low thyroid. Thyroid nourishes helps the liver function better, to help the bile production, and also to help gallbladder function. I mean, the gallbladder cells need thyroid to work for it as well, so that the muscles can properly pump, in that little sac, pump that bile out into the intestine. So, all right, I think that I'll leave it there. There's a it's important to recognize why you may have the symptoms you're having. Oh, I actually should keep to talk a little bit more about those symptoms. So, like I said before, light colored stools. If you have had your gallbladder out, and you're having looser stools. Oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. If you don't have your gallbladder and you have these other, these symptoms, the looser stools, the light colored stools, or even before you get your gallbladder out and you're having light colored stools or loose stools, it's actually the most common symptom to have before your gallbladder is out is constipation. After the gallbladder is out, you tend to, the bile tends to just come out of the liver anytime it wants. And that's the key. When I made the analogy that the gallbladder is kind of like a fuel pump, it pumps the bile out exactly when you need it, when you need to digest your food. But if you don't have a gallbladder, the bile will flow from the liver whenever it wants. And it could be at the most inopportune times, like in the middle of the night. So you wake at 2 or 3 a.m., and it's because you're getting this bile dump. Some of you actually have to get up and go to the bathroom because it stimulates bowel movement and it's very loose. So some of you may be able to relate to that. It's not helpful when the bile just releases any old time, and it doesn't help you digest your food. So that's the other half of the other scenario that happens when your gallbladder's out. So, okay, ladies, I think that's it. I am told that, okay, let me check. Oh, okay, I do have some questions. Hang on one second. Yeah, getting your gallbladder healthy is, how do you get your gallbladder healthy? So again, if you're able to catch it early enough, like I said, trying to get the stones out, optimizing your thyroid function, treating parasites, optimizing liver function, reducing inflammation. This is all very, very important to helping your gallbladder function properly. Is there a delay? Is the delay in bile release correctable with diet? or is the gallbladder damaged forever? And like I said, depending on how far gone it is, I believe it can be salvaged. And I've been able to see a few cases where just because we know the digestion improves and you get reversal of your symptoms that you're having, especially like less pain in that area. We know I've known in those cases that the gallbladder had to have improved somewhat. But when it's too far gone, because all too often, by the time you actually find out that there's a problem with the gallbladder, it may be too late. So it's a matter of taking the proper digestive enzymes every time you eat. And again, really optimizing liver function and thyroid function, all right, to really help these symptoms improve. But as with most things, once surgery is done, there's very little you can do to you can't undo it. And the symptoms that occur because of the surgery, because you've had the gallbladder out, the best you can do is mitigate the symptoms as a result. Digestive enzymes with ox bile would be very helpful for the case of a gallbladder removal and a lot of digestive symptoms. Looks like we may have one other question. Can consistent loose stools be tied to overactive gallbladder? Can there be too much bile released? Yes, I mean, that is possible, but it's not the general rule. It's more common for too little release from the gallbladder. But like I said, the liver will dump at any old time. And so if you don't have the gallbladder functioning and the liver dumps bile because the gallbladder is just not functioning, you can, in that case, yes, you can have consistent loose stools because your gallbladder is just not working well, or it's blocked up, or there's stones that are preventing release of bile into the common bile duct. So yes. Okay, are there any more questions? All right, if you have more questions, put them in the chat and I will try to answer those in the chat section or in the comment section. All right, I will leave it there for tonight. Gallbladder is super important. Please, I encourage you to learn as much as you can right here, Wellness Wednesdays in the group. And remember that there are answers, have hope, and always remember that you still have the power to heal. Ladies, have a great evening, and thanks for being with me tonight.